Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the celebration of life of our dear late Mayor Edwin Lee. And may I present the Mayor of the City and County of San Francisco, London Breed.
Thank you, Charlotte, and good morning, everyone, and thank you all so much for coming here today. I also want to take this opportunity to acknowledge former Mayor Art Agnes, as well as former Mayor Willie Lewis Brown Jr., who will be speaking shortly. This really brings back hard memories for myself, and I definitely know for the family of Mayor Ed Lee, who is joining us here today. Over the past year, we have celebrated so many major accomplishments that Mayor Lee helped to initiate during his time in office. In fact, maybe a week after he passed away, we went and cut the ribbon on the Auburn Hotel, a place for formerly homeless veterans. 70 formerly homeless veterans who now have an affordable place to call home. So many amazing things, including today, where through the small site acquisition program that Mayor Ed Lee helped to start, we will be acquiring a site, an incredible site that is the housing for seniors. And when he served as an attorney for the Asian Law Caucus during his time when he fought for public housing residents, this was one of the sites that he was able to help to secure way back then. And now we are going to be able, through the help of Chinatown Community Development, we're going to be able to purchase the property to protect those tenants, those seniors. I know today, as I said, is a really hard day for so many of you who worked side by side with Mayor Ed Lee for so many years. Whether it was his time as the director of the Human Rights Commission, or his time as purchaser for the City and County of San Francisco, or his time as a director of Department of Public Works, his time as city administrator. So many of you have fond memories and have developed incredible relationships with him. And now we are a testament to his legacy, the work that we will continue to do to honor many of the commitments that he has made to the residents of San Francisco. His motto on a regular basis, let's get to work. And that's exactly what we are going to continue to do for the people of this city. We're going to continue to work even harder than ever. And let me tell you, I got so many stories about Mayor Ed Lee. We all know he wasn't like Mayor Art Agnes and Mayor Willie Brown and I. We wouldn't let anybody take the credit for our stuff, did we? I remember on many occasions, President Cohen and I, we were always in his office, always asking for stuff. And saying, Mayor, do you mind if we take the credit on this? And he would always say, go ahead, no problem. That's the kind of person he was. He didn't want the credit. He just wanted the results. He just wanted San Francisco to be a better place. And I am so, he and I bonded over the fact that we both grew up in public housing. And when I came to him with my desire to change public housing and to just really make sure that people don't have to live in the conditions like I had to grow up in, like he had to grow up in Seattle, where there was mold and busted pipes and roaches and all the craziness that sadly still exists today. He rolled up his sleeves. We worked with Olson Lee, and we fought against a lot of people who opposed the RAD program. And now we have already rehabilitated thousands of units because he wouldn't say no. He said yes to opportunity. He said yes to changing the lives of those people living in those conditions. And I constantly run into some of those people today, most in tears, happy about just the fact that their bathroom has a nice new floor and their towel rack is not falling down. Some of the things that so many of us take for granted, because that's the kind of person that Mayor Ed Lee was. Looking out for each and every one of us, focusing on doing the work, fiercely loyal and fiercely committed to serving the people of this great city. And it is really, truly an honor to follow in his footsteps and to try and move so many of the projects that he cared so dearly about forward. And I am looking forward to continuing to accomplish those goals with each and every one of you. We owe him that. We owe San Francisco that. And he would be proud if we are able to deliver on that promise. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. And I especially want to thank his family. I want to thank Anita and Tanya and Brianna, who are constantly on the front lines. Every time they're invited to something, they are there. Every time to make sure that they knew Mayor Lee would be there if he could. And they know that they are in need, they're needed to be there in his place. And I know his spirit is with us here today. And with that, I'd like to bring up someone who hired Mayor Lee for so many jobs, and many of the jobs that I mentioned earlier today. Former mayor of the city and county of San Francisco, he actually hired a lot of us here. I was his intern. Naomi was working in neighborhood services. I mean, so many of us basically grew up in City Hall together under this mayor. And now here he is, still kind of the mayor, Mayor Willie Lewis Brown Jr.
Mayor Breed, Mayor Ed Lee's family, especially Anita, and all of Ed Lee's great friends. You should know that Ed Lee would have preferred to remain a lawyer suing the city and winning every lawsuit. But as was the case in the Agnos administration, Agnos was always looking for a way to cut the costs to the city. He convinced Ed Lee to lay down his shingle as a lawyer and come participate in executing the power of the city. Ed Lee never ever became comfortable doing that. In London, that's why he never wanted to take credit for anything that occurred under his watch. Agnos understood that Ed Lee didn't want to take credit and loved it. I loved it even more because he was so modest, so well prepared, and so unselfish in every way. He was, Mayor Breed, the only city official I know, including Harlan, who rode around with a broom and a shovel in the trunk of his car. And at any point where there was something untoward on the streets, he got out and did the work that needed to be done. And in many cases, people had no idea what his title was at that time. He was just an amazing human being. And it is with a great degree of pride that we, Mayor Breed, celebrate this man's life. We don't mourn it, we celebrate his life. And believe me, this city never ever would be what it is without the standard established by Ed Lee, who had as much pride as all of us collectively have in this city. He had it in what he called his city. And ladies and gentlemen, I am just delighted that he decided to work not for me, he actually worked with me. And he did so in the most generous, gratuitous way. And believe me, every day of my life, when I think of our city and the resources that this city has been blessed with, I placed Ed Lee at the highest.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge many of the elected officials who have joined us here today, including our City Attorney, Dennis Herrera, our Supervisor, Catherine Stephanie, Hillary Ronan, Katie Tang, and President of the Board of Supervisors, Malia Cohen, as well as Community College Board Member, Alex Randolph, Assembly Member David Chu, our Sheriff, Vicki Hennessy, our Public Defender, Jeff Adachi. Thank you all so much for joining us here today, and as we acknowledged before, former Mayor Art Agnes. Oh, she's going to be speaking. And our Assessor-Recorder, Carmen Chu, who will be speaking later today. And as I said, the family of Mayor Lee is here today, including his wife, his two daughters, his mother, and other members of the family. And at this time, I'd like to invite up his daughter, who last week, when we were in Sacramento and Mayor Ed Lee was inducted into the California Hall of Fame, his daughter, Brianna, gave an incredible tribute to her father. And at this time, I'd like to ask Brianna to come up and speak.
Thank you, Mayor Breed, for holding this lovely remembrance for our father. And thank you, Mayor Brown, for those really beautiful words as well. And thank you to everybody else here who came out today to honor his legacy, remember the man he was, and reflect on how much this city has always meant to him. I want to acknowledge our family members who are here today. Again, my mother, Anita Lee, my sister, Tanya Lee, my grandma, Ed's mom, Pansy Lee, is here. My partner, Mark Chen, Tanya's partner, Elaine Camley, my auntie, Lina Kitamura, my other auntie, Sue Rivera Lee, and my cousin, Jessie Lee. We all came from all over the country to be here to remember him today. We also cannot believe it has been a year since our dad passed away. And of course, so many things about this past year have been so difficult for us. The pure shock of how suddenly he was gone, adjusting to all the many sharp turns that our lives all took, and the strangeness of having such personal pain become so public. And at the same time, the outpouring of love and support from our family members, our friends, and the community at large here in San Francisco has been absolutely unforgettable. A year ago, the front steps of City Hall were lined with rows and rows of cards and flowers and photographs and messages thanking our dad for his service to the city. And these are the things that we've kept to this very day. People have made really generous contributions to the Edwin M. Lee Community Fund that our family set up so that we could continue his spirit of service and his dedication to San Francisco for as long as we can. And the remembrances and the dedications and the honors that have been given to him posthumously have humbled our family so much. And I think it's a really beautiful thing that we could all be here in City Hall to remember him today, because it was a place that he poured so much blood and sweat and tears into for so many years, and so much of it just symbolizes everything that he loved about working for this city and working with everybody to serve the people here. So thank you all so much.
Thank you very much for those words, Brianna. I also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge our Police Chief Bill Scott and our Fire Chief Joanne Hayes-White, who both work very closely with Mayor Lee, as well as our former Police Chief Greg Sir. Thank you so much for being here today. Another person who has had just an incredible relationship with Mayor Ed Lee, and of all the elected officials, she was definitely the favorite. We were a little jealous because Carmen Chu could do no wrong and got everything she wanted. He definitely had a special bond with her, and they worked very closely together. Ladies and gentlemen, Assessor-Recorder Carmen Chu.
Good morning. A year ago, we all lost someone incredibly special to all of us. Our city family lost a great public leader, someone who was a mentor to us, someone who I think put everything in his life before us in public service. And to the Lee family, you lost someone incredibly important to you, your husband, your son, your father, someone who loved the family so dearly. And so while a year ago we can all remember that time and place when we heard the news, because there are a few moments in time and few moments in history where we can remember that so clearly, what I hope today you'll walk away with is all of the memories that you individually had with him. Today I was asked to speak alongside with our mayors, of course with the family, and I was wondering to myself, what is it about my particular memories that are more special than others to be worthy of being said out in public today? And the truth is, it's not. It is absolutely not more special than any of the memories you have all had with him. Whether it was Supervisor Katie Tang, who was running in a race with him at Kezar Stadium, or him being part of Harlan's 100-person wedding many, many years ago, or Mayor Ed Lee working side by side with Chief Hayes White in the cases of emergencies. Every single one of the memories that you made with the mayor, the conversations that you had with him, his hopes and aspirations for the city, the things that he talked to you about wanting to achieve, all of those memories tell the tale of who our mayor was. And the truth was that he was an incredibly special person, right? He was someone who cared so deeply about the city, who made sure that he was humble, that he shared in all of the credit, someone who never forgot his roots, no matter what people said. And so today, as we remember, as we are here at this one-year anniversary, I hope that each of you take that memory, that you share that with somebody else, because memories go away when you pass, right? Or when you stop talking about those individuals. But the way that we celebrate people is that we talk about them. We talk about their accomplishments, what they meant to us, how they made us feel. And I hope that you will take that with you today and share your own personal story of our Mayor Ed Lee, because he meant so much to me, and I know that he meant very much to all of you. Thank you.
So many of you worked for Mayor Lee for so many years, and I see so many department heads in the audience, of course too many to name, but I also want to take this opportunity to acknowledge Mayor Lee's former Chief of Staff, Steve Cava, who has joined us here today. And I also see incoming supervisor for District 10 and school board member Shaman Walton. Thank you so much for being here with us today, as well as Supervisor Safai. So many of you worked for Mayor Lee. Some of you were very close friends to him, and the next person that I'm going to introduce was not only a close friend, but worked with and for him for many years. That's Naomi Kelly, our city administrator.
Good morning. I can't say how a year ago today, when my husband and I got the news, we were profoundly sad, not only because we lost the mayor of this great city, but we lost a friend, a colleague, and a mentor. Some of you may know that when Harlan decided to propose to me a few years back, it was Ed Lee and Anita Lee and Walter Wong who talked Harlan into proposing to me in Hong Kong. And they organized all of the details and how Harlan would propose to me. And so that was the personal relationship that we had. But it'd be remiss to say that not only from my career, when I was named the city purchaser, the first phone call I made was to Ed Lee. And he took time, he was the director of public works at that time, and he took a lot of time to sit down with me to talk about my great responsibility as the city purchaser, to create an equal opportunity for all to compete in government, to prevent unjust favoritism and fraud, and get the natural benefits that come from the competitive process. But also, what is your duty back to the residents of San Francisco? What nonprofits are you getting engaged in? How are you helping the underserved communities? That was very important to him, not only in my time as purchaser, but when he became the city administrator. If you wanted to have a conversation, a policy conversation, you had to meet him on a Saturday, either at Portrayal, Housing Projects, Sunnydale, and bring your broom and your bag, and he will discuss whatever issue you have with them while you're cleaning up with him. And he would say that constantly, and that continued on as when he became mayor. His legacy is that he loved this city, he loved public servants, and everything that we do for the city of county of San Francisco. He loved his staff, and his staff loved him. But we also know that he loved sports, and he had a very good sense of humor, and I'll leave you with this one story. A few years ago, when the artist formerly known as Prince passed away, many of us in City Hall, and Christine Falvey and I, she was the press secretary at the time, would go back and forth between his office and say, "Mr. Mayor, can we light up the building purple?" And he's like, no, I looked at the schedule today. The Golden State Warriors are playing, and as you know, most people who love sports are very superstitious. If I light up the building blue and gold, they will win in the playoffs. I'm like, okay, but Mr. Mayor, I think we should light the building up. Nope, the Warriors are playing. Then finally, I guess Christine and I pestered him so much that he said, "Fine, Naomi, you can light the building up as soon as the game is over." I was like, oh gosh, the game doesn't end until 10:30, and by that time, no one will see the building is purple. So I make the executive decision, and I know Mayor Breed is taking notes on this now, to, when it gets to dusk, he won't know, turn the building, go from blue and gold to purple. And it was such an awesome scene that day that it went from blue and gold to purple, and it went viral around the entire world. It was on, the CNN showed the Sydney Opera House, San Francisco City Hall, and the Eiffel Tower turning purple. Well, that night the Warriors lost. And it just so happens my very first meeting at 8 a.m. in the morning is with Mayor Lee. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get there early. But he was always early. So I get there at 7:55. He'd been there at 7:45, and he was sitting in his breakfast at Sam's Diner, arms folded. "Naomi, someone lied to me yesterday." I was like, "I know, Mr. Mayor, but did you not see that the building went across all of the news? It was beautiful." The Warriors lost. I was forgiven. I admitted I did not follow his directions to the T, but he was so kind that I was not in the doghouse for too long, but just for a few minutes. But that was the Ed Lee that we all knew and love. So with that, I would just ask everyone, it's his legacy of public service, his legacy of loving of all the employees of the city and county of San Francisco, his legacy of making sure that we do our best. So thank you.
You all know I'm not as nice as Ed Lee. Mayor Art Agnes and I would have fired her. So thank you again all for being here. I also want to take this opportunity to acknowledge Norman Fong and the folks from Chinatown Community Development, who on Monday held an incredible community celebration at Portsmouth Square. Thank you so much for that great celebration. And thank you also, Walter Wong, for the dinner that you're hosting for the family this evening. Many great tributes to honor Mayor Ed Lee, but all pale in comparison to the next folks that I'm going to introduce. I remember many meetings with Mayor Lee, and we would have discussions about the Fillmore Heritage Center and other venues of performance venues. And the thing he would say is, what do you think? Maybe we can get Preston Turner to perform at the event. Maybe we can get him to perform. And he loved Preston Turner, and Pure Ecstasy was one of his favorite groups. He would regularly go to the Broadway Grill, and he was always so excited. I mean, he got excited about his corny jokes, but he got more excited about Preston Turner and Pure Ecstasy, and at this time, I'm going to ask them to come and perform in his honor.
Thank you so much, our mayor, London Breed, Anita, and the family. And to you, Mayor Ed Lee was very, very special to us, and we loved him, and we put together a medley of tunes. They say, let's talk about it, we're gonna sing about it. We're gonna sing about what he meant to us. Unforgettable, that's what you are.
Unforgettable, though near or far.
That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed days, dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The color of a rainbow,
so
pretty in the sky. They're also on the faces of the people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? But they're really saying something like, Ed, we love you.
I'll be there, I'll be there. Just call my name, I'll be there.
I'll be there.
I'll be there. I'll be there. Call my name, I'll be there.
Don't you know, baby, yeah, yeah,
I'll be there. Yes, I will. I'll be there. Just call my name, and I'll be there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's hear it again for Preston Turner and Pure Ecstasy. Well, this concludes our program for today. I want to thank all of you so much for coming out, and I am just really filled with hope, with excitement for the future. I know that we have a lot of challenges here in San Francisco, and I know that many of the things that you all started with Mayor Ed Lee, whether it's the increase in our shelter beds, the increase in the number of mental health stabilization beds, building housing, keeping the community safe, many of those goals that Mayor Ed Lee had are things that I plan to work with each and every one of you to carry on. His commitment, his legacy, we honor that by working harder now more than ever to change what San Francisco is now to something that we know he envisioned. Clean streets, a safe, affordable place for everyone to call home. A beautiful, vibrant testament to his legacy. And so Anita and the Lee family, we are committed here in our city, along with many of the department heads, the elected officials, and a lot of the commissioners and folks who are volunteers who appreciate the work of your husband. We will continue in honor of his legacy to work harder now more than ever, and to remember how valuable he was to San Francisco and work and do exactly what he would have wanted us to do. And of course, I will take the credit for that. And so with that, everyone, in the words of our mayor, Ed Lee, let's get to work. Thank you all so much for coming.